Character introductions are a weird thing, and they could be a huge hump for people to get over, especially new players. It's so nerve-wracking to sit there and know that you have to sell your character, give an elevator pitch essentially, to the rest of the table to be able to get them to understand what your character has, and for a lot of people, it feels like you got one shot. You gotta lay it all out, you gotta paint the picture, you gotta make them know what your character's about, know what they are, and really get them to get invested in that small amount of time. But character introductions are a really interesting thing and really difficult to get through and frankly can be really nerve-wracking. And so I'm going to talk about how to do them, where they came from, and how to make sure that you do it properly, and also explain kind of why they aren't necessarily as important as you may think. So let's talk about that.
Player Role is a proud affiliate of Hero Forge, which is not something that I ever thought I'd be saying, but I'm very excited to. Hero Forge is an incredibly powerful conceptualization and creation tool for miniatures. Big ones, small ones, ones that are multicolored, Hero Forge is incredible at making exactly the kind of minis that you need. With customizable poses, hundreds of different props, and basically anything you need to make a specialized miniature, this is perfect for you. Please check out the link in the description to help out the channel, and back to the video.
So, history of the character introduction. To be frank, I really don't think that character introductions are actually that old of a concept. In fact, I'm pretty sure that in D&D sense, they're pretty new, only coming in around 5th edition. Now, I don't have any proof of that because I didn't play in older editions, so I really don't know. But frankly, I'm pretty sure that the idea of introducing characters in the ways that we've seen on Critical Role or Dimension 20 or anything like that really is a newer concept, and here's why. There's this new type of D&D coming out that's essentially sensationalized media. Dimension 20, Critical Role, etc. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that being made for an audience. We all know that it is. I'm not saying that they aren't playing a D&D game. We all know that they are, but they still keep the audience in the back of their mind. And so it is D&D sensationalized for media. We know this. All of Critical Role's cast are actors. They are acting, yes, because they enjoy doing it and they enjoy the drama, but the drama is there to make the story more interesting for those who are watching. And same for Dimension 20 and pretty much any of those other shows, and that's fine. But with that being said, I think that's where character introductions came from. The idea that you need to be able to introduce the characters in order to move forward and progress with the story. And so, naturally, people began adding those sort of things into their games. And I love character introductions. I think they're awesome. It is an elevator pitch. It is there to be able to make your players know what your character's about and be able to set the scene and immediately grab interest.
Dude, elevator pitch me.
But it's not that important. See, I have a huge issue with my character introductions where I feel like this is my chance to sell my character to the rest of the table or else I'm not going to be able to do it. And it's kind of true, but it's not totally true. Because the deal is, yes, this is a chance to immediately grab interest for the rest of the players, but it is not 100% necessary in order to garner that interest. And I'll explain it like this. There's a concept in writing called the opener. When you reveal an opener, it needs to get your reader hooked. If I were to open a book and read the first line, does that line make me want to read the rest of the book? If I open it and say, Cheryl looked down at her bloody hand, uncertain of what she just did, well, now I'm kind of curious.
I was hooked in seconds.
Why is her hand bloody? What did she just do? And I want to know more. But if I just open it and say, Cheryl killed a man and went to prison once, I mean, yeah, I'm a little interested, but okay, she killed a man and went to prison once. I'm a little curious as to why, who did she kill?
Come on.
But it's not the same. And so when you introduce a character, it's the same thing. It is your chance to grab everybody at the table's attention and get them invested in your character. But here's the deal. Here's the difference between a D&D game and a book. In that book, I can read that sentence, get bored, and close it. At a D&D table, there's a social contract where you have all sat down and already agreed to work to get invested into each other's characters. You're all there for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, who knows, many more, but you're all there to play D&D. You've all agreed to do this, you've all agreed to get invested into each other's characters, and so even if that initial moment does not catch their attention, you haven't lost them. They're still there, you're still all there to play D&D. And so the stress of a character introduction moment shouldn't be that much. Yes, it is awesome to have it. Yes, you should try and nail it because that's fun. Don't stress about it. And if your group doesn't do character introductions, hey, all the less stress for it, right? But here's how you do a good introduction if you want to do that, if you're invested in it, you really want to grab the table's attention. Like I said, first line of a book, it needs to get people interested. There needs to be curiosity. And so my first tip for you is to find something about your character's appearance which will initiate curiosity. This could be a multitude of things. Are you playing a Minotaur in a setting where Minotaurs are not common? That's easy enough. Hey guys, I'm a Minotaur. That'll cause people to look your way. Or maybe it's something more subtle. You describe a strange air or vibe about them, or you explain that constantly you seem to look over your shoulder and speak to something that's not there. Something simple that will catch their attention. But here's the deal with most character introductions and why they end up being a problem. People have a hard time explaining their character in a small amount of time. We've all been there where somebody starts explaining the appearance of their character and you look down at your watch and realize it's like 7-8 minutes later and they're still going.
And it was so boring.
Yes, this is a moment for the spotlight to be on you and for you to pitch your character to the table. Sure, but calm down. Don't bore everybody. Get what you need to out there and then finish it up. See, here's how I would do it. The first thing you should do is describe your appearance and only describe 3 things about your appearance. Nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't matter what those 3 things are, but make sure that they really quintessentially create your character. They really show what your character is. They are wearing a long brown coat. They have a large scar across their eye, and they have what looks to be a 6-iron on their hip. All right, you've clearly initiated who I think this character might be in my head. Okay? So you'll do those 3 different things, you'll describe 3 different things, and then you move into their vibe, or their personality, or essentially how they hold themselves. Explain, are they shy and timid and constantly shrinking up against themselves? Or do they seem bold and bombastic and constantly stand with a large gait? Or do they simply seem to peer around them and be incredibly inquisitive and unaware of their surroundings? So you can do many things, but describe how it is that they carry themselves. And then very lastly, the last thing you should do after describing 3 things about their appearance, how they hold themselves, describe 1 unique aspect about how they see the world around them. Say that every time they look at things, they seem to be fascinated by it. Or they seem to constantly have a guarded look, and anybody who comes too close to them, they seem to pose forward in order to get them to back off. Something simple, but doing those quick things keeps it simple, concise, and it keeps it short. It gives people something to be interested in about your character. It gets them to ask questions about them, but it doesn't bore them. The other important thing you need to remember is if you are doing a character introduction, so is everybody else at the table. And they are probably just as nervous, and they are probably just as ready to get into their character introductions. So give everybody their time to shine without stealing too much of it. And then that's the most important thing. Once you've finished introducing your character, ask questions about the other characters. As they introduce themselves, ask questions about them. How are they introducing? What are the things that your character is curious about? Keep in mind that your character will be curious about them. If a Minotaur just walked into the bar, you're probably pretty curious about that. Or if somebody is incredibly closed off and imposing and constantly pushing up back against people, your character will probably wonder what sort of stick is up their butt. So keep those things in mind, ask questions about their characters, describe yours concisely, and just generally remain invested. Nothing's more important than remaining invested in everybody else's characters so that they can remain invested in yours. And if you want to learn more about investment, there's a video for you that I made about that. It'll pop up in this corner. I finally figured it out. It's that corner that it'll pop up in. But if you can do those things, hopefully, you should be able to have a pretty awesome character introduction at your table. So before I finish, please look down at the button below and see if you've subscribed. I really hate pointing that out, but I'm really trying to grow the channel, and it's been doing really well recently, and I'm really thankful for you guys. But, you know, if you could just check, and if you like the content, please go ahead and subscribe, like all the usual YouTube stuff. Anyways, go out into the world, make it your own, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to have a great day, and never forget to play your role.
A huge shout out to all those divine bastards over on our Patreon that helped make this video happen. Big D the Cool Guy, BKBW, Diet Blue, Duplicolor, Sassy Productions, Sorit, Supreme Court, Talia Martin, Tenai, Void Mystic, and Volpe Nico. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without our patrons, and we are very thankful for your continued support. You guys are the absolute best, and I will never take your support for granted.